Thank you. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this exciting event, part of a project dedicated to promote the best uses and practices of AI. This is the first one that we're gonna have for middle school, and then we're gonna have another one on Monday for high school. Today we are exploring how AI is transforming the future of jobs and disciplines. And trust me, this is gonna be a fascinating journey. Before I dive in, I want to give a huge shout out to amazing students who made this event possible. Alfredo, Gabriela, Daniela, Ana, Daniel Rios, Ericus, Jean-Brief, Joseph, Valentina, Verónica, Daniel Lopez, Gia, Marcela, Diana, and Diego. Your hard work has been incredible, and none of this would have happened without you. Thank you to Vilmari for including me in this adventure and for keeping all of us on track. And to the wonderful faculty who have been supporting us during this process, Kevin, Robertson, Emmanuel, Amanda, Jeffrey, Charin, JR, Mr. Cortez, Mr. Novak, Lulu, Tiger, and maintenance crew. I truly appreciate all you have done to make this event a reality. And of course, a big thank you goes to our inspired panelists for the IAO law transforming disciplines and redefining futures. Some of whom we admire deeply and others
to the use of artificial intelligence and how we can use it responsibly.
However, before we get started, we want to give a big thanks to Ms. Mari Torres and Ms. Taira Rivera for their support.
We would like to express our gratitude to our panelists for joining us today. They'll be sharing insights from their industries on the opportunities and considerations of using AI.
We'll begin by introducing each panelist. We'll start with Jen. Jen is a capital letter of Evaluate, chief of the recruiting committee, and director of communication practice. He has a strong entertainment law practice, presenting common audience in litigation and transactional matters. His litigation and transactional experience allows him to offer a defensive and
digital director and creative at Wanda. She now runs her own marketing agency, Wanda, involvement. Wanda holds a BA in creation and journalism from the University of Rivera-Belaval.
And last but not Rivera-Belaval and experienced entrepreneur and documentarian with over 19 years in photography, including 16 years focusing on 3D world success. His work is on Spanish style, and portraits and shapes documentary macros and 360 the macros communications and landscape and visual narratives. Josué seeks to inspire creativity and push the boundaries of visual and creative storytelling.
Wow, now that we've all met our panelists for today, let's move into the general questions. And remember, if at any point you have any questions, remember to reach out to your lecturers and they will present them. Okay, so let's see our general.
So let's start with the first question. So how do you see future industries changing with the use of artificial intelligence?
So, as I said about the ways, I'm really trying to see, especially how AI has impacted law. But I'll give you one better. I work with a lot of artists and coding things, and right now AI in the industry is a huge issue or challenge. Because as you create music with AI, that music has no copyright, it has no protection. So you have the dynamic of producers sampling beats that are created with AI being integrated in music that has been copyrighted and sold by artists and music labels. But I have a component of that song, which I cannot protect. I can play it, I can sell it, but if another artist takes my beat and uses it, I can't sue them. So I essentially giving away my hidden beats with AI. Now, this conversation has changed dramatically in the past year. Past year, a lot of the discussion was, can we not use AI? Can we avoid it? And right now, the discussion is, well, you're going to use AI. How do you work it into your equation and yet keep the protection? So for artists, it's a very big challenge, not only in using it in your production beats or sampling, but on the flip side, deep fakes and engines that can mimic your voice. That right now is a problem for artists in the music sphere, but also in the photography world, where you have a journey with AI photography that if this optimizes copyright, but the law is unsettled as to how you can sue or not. There's like 30 litigations right now on this, and it's really the Wild Wild West in the legal sense. And innovators and creators are all standing by saying, where do I stand in my business today with these developments?
Yes, definitely. I feel like from what we're hearing, it definitely comes down to using AI responsibly and like to your advantage towards your industry. So, for one of you, how have you integrated the use of AI into your respective fields?
Well, in my case, lately I've been using it a lot to train it in a way that it helps me move proposals faster, and I edit a lot. That's what I used to do when I managed the team. So I asked it to generate a bunch of stuff, like to do it fast, but then I edit it and give it my flavor. So it's more, in my sense, it's making me faster, but also a little bit more careful with how you present stuff and how you educate it.
Hi. Well, in photography, we are using AI way before the AI boom that we know of today. Because the cameras, the autofocus, the drones, the stabilization, everything is using AI before ChatGPT was modern. No, and also the software is using AI in the background. But right now, there are a lot of better uses for it.
Yes, so thank you all for sharing your insights. And now, one final question for all of you here. What are some misconceptions regarding the use of AI in photography, law, and marketing?
So I think that in terms of law, there is, right now I can use ChatGPT and I can enter the following prompt. draft me an entertainment recording agreement where the mechanical royalty is set at the statutory rate, the recording royalty is 7%, and I have exclusivity over Canada, Puerto Rico, and the US. Huge word salad. It'll crank out. The how advanced of Mid-Journey, for example, what Mid-Journey's prompting out now is just leaves what it was prompting out a year and a half ago. So it's ChatGPT, and now with the perhaps Gemini and the iOS integration, it's just going to keep leapfrogging. So it's a very challenging conversation because what we say now could be outdated in 4 months.
Exactly. So I think what all of you here today should take from this conversation is that we should not replace ourselves with AI, but instead use it as a tool to enhance our current works and be able to excel at a higher pace. So thank you all. And now we'll be moving on into specific questions towards each of the industry. So let's start with law. As an expert in intellectual property, Janet, you've witnessed the rapid evolution of technology and the challenges that keep legal frameworks up to date. Your expertise lies at the intersection of law and technology. So with this in mind, how do you see intellectual property law evolving with the rise of AI?
So I just had a consultation with a client this week where they had a trademark that they really liked, and when I asked, where'd you get the logo from? They said, well, I got ChatGPT. And I'm like, great, wonderful. So, small work, you don't really have a copyright over this image. I can use it as a trademark, but I can't protect the image. So if somebody takes your image and uses it, you can't sue them. And, you take that, you plug it into music, you plug it into producers, you plug it into photography. It is a challenge, and part of my job is to protect the intellectual property you create. But right now, as the law stands, both at the patent level and the copyright level, there is no potential for AI-generated work. So you come out with this wonderful AI piece, which you would be proud of and you want to sell, but I can't protect. So you're out there running without any protection, and the law isn't catching up. And it really does step to the point that the law emphasizes human creativity. And where we are right now in AI, is way more than the business. Very, interesting pictures.
Yes, definitely. It's like finding, I imagine it's a struggle, finding the way you can twist it to make it appear as their creation, because AI, all in all, is just an enhancement of our creativity.
And if you think about it, like lawmakers, most of them don't understand how social media works. So it's really hard for them to even understand how predictive models work or anything of AI works. So when you're going to legislate in that, you're trying to use a lot of perspectives and frameworks of regular law in the world we used to live in like 40, 60 years ago, for example.
Yeah, we're all regular time, so we're thinking our way of doing things needs to evolve and transform as well. So, Ms. Wanda Fraguada, as someone with extensive experience in digital marketing, you've been able to see firsthand how AI transforms the way brands communicate with customers. And with your expertise in integrating artificial intelligence into marketing strategies, you definitely bring a unique perspective to this conversation. So, we would like to know, what strategies have you used to integrate artificial intelligence to optimize digital marketing campaigns?
Well, a lot of the marketing software that's out there now has AI integrated, as Musa was saying, so they do have their little things that they do. It depends on what you're using it for. Like, for example, you can leverage a lot of AI to analyze data, so you can say, okay, this converts better than this other thing, or to create workflows that are more that are faster or that relate a lot more with the customer. In addition, like AI has allowed e-commerces and chatbots and everything just to be automated in terms of customer service. I know that a lot of people hate talking to machines when they go to a website or when they even call to an automated service, but that's a way in which it's working within marketing. In terms of content generation, which is a very important part in terms of digital marketing, it has accelerated in the output, but you have to be very careful with the quality of the output, because especially with ChatGPT, it's all about how you train it. So you have to have like your brand voice very developed, like your creative assets very developed, like actually know your brand well, so you can feed the model for it to give you something back, and it will not necessarily have the flavor, the culture, all the things that you know about the client. So you have to, it's like if you're training an employee, but once you have it trained, it will work wonders to make it move faster. When you're talking about proposals, for example, like you're training it to think like you a little bit. So it's, okay, I would do this, I would do that. Let me see how you would put this, or how would you explain this to the customer that it's not really AI or technology proficient. So it will help you in that way as well. But mainly for me, it's the data analysis. If you know the metrics you're looking for and you upload stuff and then you start seeing it, it'll make you move faster and make smarter decisions, but also pair it with your intuition into what you know works.
Yes, definitely. I especially like the part of the customer service robots. It's so interesting and wonderful to see how AI is being applied not only in the creativity aspect, but also interacting it. But I also noted that it's the importance of training your AI to appear to appear to what you're looking for, to personalize it to what you're looking for as a product of your creation.
I remember when I used to work at Parallel 18, we had this startup in Puerto Rico called Redefining. They were training the AI models to be receptionists for doctors. So they had a lot of people like just feeding and answering questions. Like their whole team was just training the AI. That was the name of the assistant. And now I see it like for my doctors, like you call and then they pick up your phone and then they send you the text with the whole conversation. So that's a way in which you're like facilitating processes that actually turn into sales for the doctors because they need less appointments and can see more patients.
Exactly. So it's about really optimizing our efficiency in both our creativity aspect, but also in the tasks that we don't necessarily want to do each and every day. And so with that, we'll move on to Josué, because as a professional photographer, you've experienced how the training have evolved over the years, but also how they're increasingly being integrated with software and image generation. So how do you see AI influencing photography when it comes to editing or even image creation?
Yes, right now I use it a lot to retouch photos because I can't take every photo that's going into a book. I have to retouch it, and sometimes the stock photos, the colors are right, a little stuff, or maybe the books is the photo to be wider. So I'm using AI to make it faster because before I have to go color for color and set up the white balance and stuff like that. But right now I go to another one and just play with the out of function first, then tweak it a little, so it's great. But then, for example, maybe the book has like a photo that's like a panorama, but the photo isn't right, it's not a panorama, so I have to enhance or make a little wall to the side so the photo works. But that's where you have to be careful that you are not changing, especially in education, the photo. You have to work with something that is real. I can make maybe a curtain in the sky, maybe take a bottle of the photo, but I don't use it to change it. It's like I can change the context.
Exactly. So it's about enhancing, not substituting the content of the photo, which I think is very important when it comes to using AI overall. And so with that, we'll circle back to John. And how can we ensure that AI is used ethically while protecting our personal data?
You can. So, welcome to the
It's guidance here.
Joining well. So, I had this conversation yesterday about somebody using, I'd rather turn the use of Copilot Microsoft, and it's telling me it will not use my data for X, Y, and Z. That's fantastic today. Tomorrow, Microsoft sells Copilot to somebody else, and they take your data and they use it in a different way, which you didn't agree to, but they sold the assets or the asset for dependency, and somebody else has it. Your data is an asset. The reason why most of the services that we use are free is because we are the currency. Our data, our habits are the currency. So assuming the terms of use, which I know all of you read through when you click through, love it, click through them. Absolutely every letter, I write them. They're magnificent pieces of art. But that you're assuming the other party holds that to be true and complies with that. What happens when they don't? Your data's lost. So there is an enormous amount of data that we give systems that can be at risk. I don't mind. There's a lot of legislation to protect that. There's GDPR in Europe, there's the AI in California. But that, again, that implies you can enforce it in time. And once this leaves, it leaks into the dark web or whatnot, it's lost, it's out there. So there is a huge challenge as to how much protections we can place and how much risk can really avoid. And I think it really tries to be, it's not that will AI be used ethically. You could argue that a car can be used ethically, and people are struggling with cars. We need to train people to know the risk in AI and use that selectively so that it still becomes ethical. There's certainly a lot of risk in terms that it's going to be motives to generate a quick thought in a AI tool that exploits human nature. So where do you draw that line? That's going to be the ongoing challenge every day in our profession.
Yeah, from what you're saying, that means anything you input into ChatGPT, it is not yours. So
it's not that it's not like it's not yours. You don't lose your copyright over what you input, assuming there is copyright. But it's certainly out there. You certainly share it with somebody else. Think you want to share it. If you want a picture of you with ChatGPT, are you trusting that picture will not be replicated or hacked? It may be. So, do not think that the black box of ChatGPT is its very safe space. It could be imagine you're walking through the street and there's a mailbox, and you're putting it out there. Who knows who picks it up? You're trusting the mailman will pick it up, but it could be just anybody else breaking with that mailbox. So be careful what you input. You might still keep it, but maybe you didn't want to give it away free.
okay, perfect then. So remember to be careful what you input into ChatGPT and to always read the terms and conditions. Don't just scroll down and click I agree.
And careful with whatever you put on social media as well. Like when you start doing your digital print, everything is made in a way for hackers and anyone. So be very careful with what you share and what you leave on the web.
So I think that we should all use AI and social media in general responsibly so that we can avoid feeding our information to people that we may not know and make that information go public when we don't want it to. And so with that, we'll move on to Wanda.
Yes. So Miss Wanda, let's talk a little bit more about ethics, but in your area of expertise, what are some of the ethical considerations in using AI for data-driven marketing campaigns?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff there that can be said. I think plagiarism is something that we should be very careful with. Assuming that when you prompt it and it gives you stuff like it's not plagiarism, you need to be very careful about that. You need to be very careful about social idiosyncrasies and ChatGPT is not a human, so it can be racist, it can be disrespectful, it can be sexist. So you really have to make that into account. It's not going to take into account the societal booster. So you have to be very careful with that, because if you just input something, give me a content calendar for XX brand, and then give me image suggestions, for example. And then every image they give you is of a white male or a white thin female. Then you're perpetuating things in the net that are not necessarily how the world looks. So you have to be very careful with that. That's part of what we as marketers have to be careful when it comes to portraying the world ethically in this way. In addition, most of platforms today ask you to identify if your content is AI generated. Like if you go to Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, when you're putting up campaigns, they're going to ask you now if there's AI content here. So it has to be flagged. If not, your campaigns can be stopped, and then you lose a lot of money or a lot of results. So you have to be very careful with plagiarism. You have to be very careful with correct information. You have to be very careful with protecting the data of your customers according to the laws that are in place in certain areas. It's not the same thing as to run a campaign here as to run a campaign in Spain or in any part of Europe or even California. Data is protected in different ways, and that can be that can lead to losing the world, fines for the companies, and then a lot of other things that are not really positive when you're running marketing campaigns. Also, try to make people. You have to be very careful in how you word it, so you don't manipulate stuff and it looks like you're trying to sell something that's not there, and the AI is not going to know that.
Yeah, so it's about applying that human touch of our ethics and also our morals when we use AI, so that we can prevent all sorts of situations from arising. Because AI, like she said, if AI is not human, it does not live with us. So it's important that we adapt it to our current circumstances.
And you have to be up to date with what's changing within your profession. Because even if it's not using AI, you as a human, you're entering into other markets and you're not really certain about the laws that are in place of using and promoting stuff, you can also infringe the law. So as a professional, you have to know what are the limits within your profession.
Exactly. And so now moving to Josué, how do you see the ethical considerations with AI when generating or even like altering images?
Yes, you have to be very careful with copyright because sometimes people think that everything on the web, every photo, is for grabs, but it's not. Everything is copyright. Even if I don't know copyright of a photo, the moment I make the click in the camera is copyright to me. So, for example, someone hired me to make a retouch of a photo of a grandfather, a grandparent, and then I use as reference photo. I have to use photos like from the 1900s that I know is before 1929. It's not copyright. So I have to go look for photos of people in Puerto Rico from the 1900s, like the social class that was a match, and the portrait style. Then, even then, the photo was so bad that I couldn't. The Adobe the Photoshop was not understanding because one of the photos had like part of the wasn't done and part of the I have to draw like a year very badly. And long like in the past here. So then the software knew that this was there because I was writing like making a selection and writing okay, her, the head, whatever. You have to practice your prompt. But
Prompting is key.
yes, it was giving me a human head with hair in this part of the photo. I have to prompt before and then it understood that that's what we had. Then helping. But you have to be very careful with the photos and images that you input as reference because everything is copyright. I can use, for example, a photo of a tree that I took, make a illustration, listen from that tree, but it's based on Python. I cannot go around using very last pictures.
So I have 90 seconds. Let me make a quick question. How many of you, raise your hands, own copyrighted works? Raise your hands.
Yeah?
How many of you have taken pictures on a cell phone? Raise your hands. All of you are owners of copyrighted works. All those pictures are copyrighted. But both of them is clutch. I have seen in the middle of a lawsuit where the client has spent over $100,000, talk to the advertising people and say, where did you get this photo from? Oh, I found it on Google. It was free. No, it is not free. Anything that's on the internet has a copyright owner. So anything you see has an owner, and in the industry, in the advertising industry, they call it plagiarism because you took it without acknowledging. My industry is called copyright infringement, and it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I love that you said that everything you see has copyright. All of you have copyright. You can take a picture of some fine.
And that applies as well to stock photo programs. Like there's different uses for different kinds of pictures. Like there's different tiers which you pay. There are some that can only be used for editorial use. And that is something that if you're trying to leverage AI to select images or portray an advertising campaign, you have to be very careful with that as well.
Also, in the stock photo industry, right now, you read everything that you are saying. And I'm sure that it said that you cannot use the stock photo to train other AI that is on that company. So I cannot take like a photo from iStock or Shutterstock and use it in ChatGPT because it's not the same company, they don't want to get together.
You can just input it into DALL-E, which is the image generator, and just do whatever.
It's just not.
I mean, terms and conditions have to be faster than the law.
Well, I love how, I don't know about you, Alfredo, but I love how everything is interconnecting, the training of your AI, the responsible use, the aspect of adding your human touch, adding that creativity, that sense of humanity, all in all. So that was a wonderful discussion, don't you think, Alfredo?
I think it was a very productive one, and I think all of you should have learned something incredibly from our panelists here today. And so, with that said, are there any doubts or questions that may have arisen as a result of this conversation?
I didn't stay in the ask you.
Well, Alfredo, we have a few ones. Okay, so Ms. Miranda Blanco has a question for you guys. Some people are scared that AI will take their jobs. Would that be a valid concern?
I think like since industrialization came to be, people are afraid of losing their jobs. Technology and innovation are inescapable. It's something that we as humans are wired to do. So I think it's more about adapting and finding new ways of doing what you do, leveraging the technology or whatever changes. For example, when I was in college, social media did not exist. Yes, shocking to you guys that just were born in the social media era. So digital marketing did not exist. It was a new industry, like having content calendars for brands that you have to put out there daily, weekly. It was an industry that was not there. So I studied journalism, and when I was getting out of college, the journalistic industry started to shrink dramatically. So what did I do? I just pivoted to content and marketing. So it's probable that yes, it's gonna substitute some jobs for sure. I think the game is on being one of those early adopters that really starts understanding how it works and then using it to your advantage to keep it human. Like, for example, a lot of lawyers are diving into AI, and most of them are not. So that's another young past example. It's the same with Josué with photography and what he does. So it's more like being one of the first in the game to accept that you can't deny it. It's not going to change. It's not going to stop because you don't use it. You have to use it so you can learn where you're going to fit within the new ecosystem.
I think adding to that, back in the day, you had people, industry for typewriters. Not anymore. When I was a kid, you used to call place, they stand up people, and you would tell them, I need a research on manatees, and they would fax you, another industry, the information. The internet wiped all of that out. Now, jobs will cease to be relevant, but the basic capitalistic need to effect to provide value for somebody will always be there. So your challenge, your generation, is to determine what is the value that is not being met by AI today, and how can I meet that value with tools that are not yet present. So photography and advertising law, for example, I can break down on a contract in 1 second. Sure. You can break down a crappy contract. That's not going to hold water in court. Or you can pay me, and I can give you a contract that is tried and tested. Or I can see what's outputted and give you that extra value that is not being met. So like a chip of the industrialization really changes quality. Jobs are going to come and go. Value always stays. Find the moving value.
It all comes down to complementing each other. Not taking over their jobs, but complementing each other, enhancing each other's work.
In photography, for example, you have to focus on what AI can do. AI cannot take photos of work, of a family, or moments in time, or photojournalists. Also, to resume this, the other day someone sent me a post that said, AI is not going to get your work. People that know how to use AI are being out there.
Exactly, and so I think it's about really knowing how to leverage the use of AI, because as they've all mentioned here, with some industries decreasing in presence, there's also going to be a great opportunity for new industries, such as what happened with digital marketing, to arise because of AI. And so with that, we have another question from Maria. How would artists protect themselves from companies that are implementing the use of AI and lowering their salaries?
Waste.
That's it. That's it. So artists are facing a number of threats. So number one, you have the issue with AI generated voices. So I represent that money, and I know that we have cases where there's been Ghost, I think it was Ghost Killer, who was making a audio generated voice. Now, here's the twist. The AI generated voice did not use the Bad Money audio, so I cannot get it on copyright. Where I can get it, perhaps, is on right of publicity. But right of publicity is a state law, and maybe Ghost Killer is out of excluded or whatnot. So how do I get this guy? And that is the challenge we have right now. So that's one hand. On the other hand, you're going to have record labels trying to push producers, saying, well, I don't need your beat. Why would I give you points in the royalties when I can just input the beat and get it in there? And that's going to be tough for up-and-coming producers. Now, and I think, again, we go back to the value. Those producers need to show that, sure, you can output a beat, but I can give you a better beat that is output. And it's going to be a huge technical role, frankly. If there's not going to be a solution, you're going to have a lot of artists waiting a steamroll before there's a high upturn. And you're going to see record labels trying to implement, frankly, half-baked measures that they make a quick buck, and it's going to explode in their face. Because at the end of the day, the people who are successful in this industry are those who create relationships and value. You might have one people to drink tomorrow, but you're not going to have hit after hit after hit. And I think that's where you're going to have the challenge and the flow of technology and AI.
Also, government and policy has to get up to date with some of these things. If you remember the writer strikes in Hollywood last year, the SAG-AFTRA strike, the actors strike, it was also trying to put in protections in contracts to AI-related generated content and how they're going to reuse their images, or how to avoid them using AI to use a lot of extras instead of actually hiring them, and how royalties are paid and stuff like that. So when you get together as a group, as a union, and you start thinking about this when you negotiate your contracts, it's going to start heading up to policy, and that's going to head up to government, and someone's going to take charge of it eventually. But in terms of artists in general, you have to be aware of what's going on out there, what others have put in place in their contracts, and you can actually present and negotiate, because it's one thing, it's music that's always felt untouchable and no one could replicate it. But when it comes to CGI and stuff that has existed for ages, like actors and writers have been at risk for a longer time. So that's why they fight for this, and they made sure they included it in their new negotiations. So that's something you have to think of. Yes.
Sorry.
In image and photography, there are companies that are making like filters that you put on top of your photo or your art that is making hard to exactly that's right. So it's a literature. So.
And I love that you guys mentioned music, because I feel like it's something we can relate to more so Bad Bunny's issue with the generated song. I think we've all seen that in our For You page. Didn't you see it? I saw it.
I definitely saw it.
So I feel like it's great to be able to connect these real life examples and that accurately exhibit the way we should responsibly be using AI and how the challenges and struggles that may come with it. So let me give you guys another question from Ms. Lua Kyle. What type of lawyer this is directed to Jackie. What type of lawyer are you, and what kind of role does AI play in your field?
So I do intellectual property. I work with people's patents, I work with people's trademarks, copyright, entertainment. So all that gamma, basically what that which my career is my day to day. Right now I'm working a lot with the musicians and labels, and as well as inventors and tech companies. So I've seen a lot of crossroom into how AI plays into all of these. I won't say that I don't use AI, I frankly don't, but every AI tool that comes out, I have to start getting my hands in there and testing them and seeing how it works. I can't let it get a case or advice against AI if I'm not understanding it. So a big part of my job day to day is making sure I'm on the trends, making sure that any new tool that's coming up, I'm exploring it, I'm seeing how it works, I'm seeing how the inputs work, I'm seeing where they're deriving their information from. Because the next console that I get the day after is I want to have a less agreement with this company. So I need to understand where the risk on ID is going to lie. So I think that's what I do. Because the day it's really, my practice particularly changes a lot. What I did 4 years ago, it's different 3 years ago, and it's going to be different 2 years from now because it's very contingent on technology and trends. But how I use it day to day, again, I don't use it for my output, but I use it to train myself, make sure that I know what is the legal situation out there.
And so, thank you. With that, we'll move on to another question from Isabel. If you put a watermark on an AI image, do you own it or does the AI company own it? I'll repeat the question. If you put a watermark on an AI image, do you own it or does the AI company own it?
Nobody owns it, and it's free for the people. Just to recap, everything AI creates is free. It's public domain, nobody owns it. But I put a watermark on it. Surely that makes a difference. But let's push it and let's do it a step further. Let's say I do, there's litigation right now where the person put a really specific prompt, insanely specific. Even there, the copyright office said there is no copyright to that image. What if I can make AI generate image and I add on it? I add original stuff on that image. What do I own? You own the image as it pertains to the original part that you put in. But if I were to take that image, subtract the part that you put in, can I use it? Yes, because the underlying work is not protected. So the protections that you're going to have on AI created are slim to none. And maybe today you don't care about that, fine. But if you're doing it for a client and the client's paying you, 30 grand for art, and say, well, hang on, what did I just make you for? Something that my competitors could use? That's unvaluable. And you're going to have a practice fee, on your back as well as a very unhappy client. So no, putting a watermark, putting copyright in your name does not make a lick of difference. If it's AI generated, as the law stands today, October 25th, there is no protection.
Wow.
Even if you generate from your own photo, if you generate you don't have like a person. If you want to make art, have a little protection, just like a lot of your protected image, and use AI to facilitate maybe inspiration to make the art. Use your copyright.
Yeah, use it as a starting point.
So there you go. Anything that you put into AI is not going to be protected under copyright law.
Anything that you get out of AI, and you put in, because let's say you could put in about a picture, that's still yours. It's what you get out of AI.
Yeah, like the photography, the man with the hair.
That's not his.
Okay, and now for the final question, and one I think we've been all wondering. Is there a proper way to use artificial intelligence in school context?
Well, I mean, I remember when I was in school, we used to use encyclopedias, yes, real books to look for information. They would get updated probably each decade, and they would give you like a new thing each year. Then came Encarta, and all of those CD-ROMs, encyclopedias that you could look information into. And then came Google and Wikipedia and all of that. So saying that we should not use AI for schoolwork is like saying that I shouldn't use Wikipedia or Google search to like validate a lot of the things that I want to do in schoolwork. I think what's important is that you cross-reference, because AI hallucinates. AI gives false information, like it's true information. It will lie to you in your face. And some of the things might be outdated, and you think because they came from the AI, they are updated. I'm going to give you a stupid example. I was working on a proposal the other day in social media stuff, And it was giving me recommendations for Reels/IGTV. Instagram killed IGTV 2 years ago. And it was giving it to me like it was something like was very current. I'm like, no dude, I know this does not exist anymore. They consolidated with video and Reels like 2 years ago. So you have to do a lot of that cross-referencing, not only to make sure that your work is correct, but that you learn. Your brain and other sources will know more than AI.
Yes, definitely have to cross-reference. For example, I was making a book of photos of graffitis in Chile in the protest about a few years ago. And I was lazy and didn't want to do research. So I asked ChatGPT, okay, what was the reason that the protest and blah, blah, blah. And it gave me a lot of information that was very useful for my book. But I have to check that information to see if the names, the reality of it is real. If I just use it like that and it says something like the president, something.
I mean, you divide the information according to who fed the model.
So I have to cross-reference, and you have to cross-reference if you use it to make research for something. You have to check from where it came from. Because ChatGPT doesn't give you where it came from. There are other.
But you can ask it, like, give me the sources for which you saw this information.
Yeah.
I actually use it a lot, like, for my son, do quizzes and stuff, like, for tests. So if he writes it, I upload the PDF image and like, give me a test out of this. Here it is. Give me the answers of this test so I can cross-check it. So you can use it to study as well.
And I'll give you an example. So, I just asked ChatGPT, how old is Robinson School located in Puerto Rico? Robinson School located in Puerto Rico was founded in 1902. So far, so good. It was making it over 120 years old. It's 120 years old. It didn't lie. It's over 120. But notice that ChatGPT could not make that extra bridge of saying, I know value X is 1902. I know value Y is 2024. Can I make this abstraction? ChatGPT did not make that extra step. It merely took out what you could see on the web. So, can you use ChatGPT in your school work? It comes out to ethics. If the work is not yours, you should divulge. But I'll give you a typical lawyer, when I like to live in worst case scenarios, I'll give you a worst case scenario. Let's say you're really clever. When I was here at Robinson, I was using Carta 8, and I'm gonna admit this. Some of my essays were completely ripped off the Carta, and the teachers didn't have a Carta back then, so they couldn't tell. But you don't have that advantage. Universities are way better equipped to deal with this than we were in my time. And the penalty, the consequence you're going to have when you're in a university from NYU or Clark, whatnot, and you use AI generated content in your essay, since they have these leading students, they're not going to sit down with you and say, hey, buddy, you know what happened here? They're going to say, my algorithm flagged 3 pages of AI generated content. So we're going to give you a 0, and we're going to refer you to accurate and dishonesty. So, since they have so much volume that we have to double check, we're just going to go with a slightly and just utilize it very partially. So the consequence is very real. It's perhaps unforgiving. So should you use it? Sure, just like any other tool that you can use, judge, but your work has to be yours and you have to test it yourself. And that is, what we see with lawyers, that you have lawyers who have used AI to generate cases. It hallucinates a fake case law. Judges find out, and these lawyers get really sentenced. You have to double check the work. You have to make sure the work is correct. So, are you going to ignore AI? That's not going to happen. You're going to use, be smart about it, be transparent about it, talk to your teachers. Is it a good project to use AI on? It may be the teacher says, no, for this, I don't want you to use it. But for this other one, I want you to test it out and show me what was AI and what wasn't.
Yeah, definitely. I really like the way you all phrase this, and I feel like it's also valuable, like from the perspective of a student. I feel like can agree with me here. ChatGPT maybe has a way of explaining things in a way you didn't see them before. Like I've heard people explain it to me like I'm a child, and I feel like that's a great way to understand something, not necessarily plagiarize your work or apply it directly, but through gain an understanding through it. I feel like it's a resource. All in all, it's a resource.
I can tell.
Exactly. You should use ChatGPT and other AI models as a resource, not to not instead of our learning. You should all use it to implement it and also enhance what we're doing here in the classroom. And so with that said,
Well, that was a great discussion. A big thank you to all of our panelists right here for sharing their expertise and experience.
today's conversation reminds us that responsible use of AI is not just about innovating, but also about enduring ethical practices, protecting privacy, and staying adaptable in a rapidly changing world.
And we hope that everyone here leaves feeling more prepared to interact, input information into AI responsibly and thoughtfully within their own lives. Whether you're a student, a professional, a teacher, or faculty member, you learned something today about responsible use of AI.
And so once again, I want to thank Ms. Ibai Torres and Ms. Naida Rivera for holding this great event.
Thank you.
And finally, let's give one more round of applause to our fantastic panelists here today. Okay, so Miss Ferrari here is telling me that you guys will be dismissed, but by grace, so sit tight. And before we do this, can we take a selfie, all of us, with our amazing panelists for today? So remember to put on your smiles.
Random.
Thank you, everybody, for your attention.
We hope you enjoyed this. So now let me give the microphone to Ms. Wanda.